Are you afraid?
I used to work the graveyard shift at a gas station way out on Route 17, the kind of place where you'd see maybe 5 cars between midnight and dawn. Most of the time, I'd just clean, restock, or stare out the window at the absolute nothingness. The only real company was the hum of the refrigerators and the occasional gust of wind rattling the automatic doors. It was peaceful, mostly, in a lonely sort of way. My shift started at 11 p.m. and ended at 7 a.m. The manager, a quiet man named Frank, would always say, "Keep the lights on, keep the coffee brewing, and stay alert." He never elaborated on why stay alert was so important. But after a few weeks, I understood. That empty stretch of highway attracted strange things, and even stranger people, usually after 3 a.m. One night, around 3:30 a.m., I was wiping down the coffee machine when the bell above the door chimed. I looked up, expecting a tired trucker or a lost tourist. What I saw instead was unexpected. A woman stood just inside, framed by the automatic doors, which had slid shut behind her. She was dressed in a simple, dark dress, almost like a slip, that seemed too light for the chill of the desert night. Her dark hair was long, perfectly straight, and fell past her shoulders. She didn't move, just stood there, looking around the brightly lit store as if she'd never seen such a place before. I cleared my throat. "Can I help you?" I asked, my voice echoing slightly in the quiet store. She turned her head slowly, her eyes meeting mine. They were dark, almost black, and her face. That's where the first real wave of unease hit me. Her skin was incredibly pale, and under the fluorescent lights I could see a network of fine, dense wrinkles. They weren't like crow's feet or laugh lines. They covered her entire face, like crumpled parchment. She didn't answer, just stared. It wasn't an aggressive stare, more like an intense observation, as if I were a particularly interesting display item. Her lips were thin, uncolored, and when she finally spoke, her voice was a whisper, dry and raspy, like rustling leaves. "Just looking," she said. I nodded, feeling a prickle on my neck. I went back to wiping the counter, but I kept an eye on her in the reflection of the glass. She moved with an unsettling grace, gliding rather than walking through the aisles. She picked up a candy bar, turned it over in her hands, and then placed it back, never breaking her rhythm. Then I noticed the shadow, or rather the lack of one. The bright, overhead fluorescence cast long, sharp shadows from every shelf, every display, even my own reflection in the window. But the woman, standing directly under a row of lights, cast nothing. Not a whisper of a shadow on the polished linoleum floor. I told myself it was the angle, the trick of the light, anything to rationalize it. But my eyes kept going back to the floor around her feet. Nothing. She eventually brought a single bottle of water to the counter. As she placed it down, I saw it clearly. Her right arm was significantly longer than her left. The sleeve of her dark dress stretched taut. When she tilted her head to pay, a subtle detail on her left cheek became visible. It was too thin, almost translucent, and underneath, I could faintly discern the shape of teeth. Not like a grimace, but as if her skin was stretched so tight it barely concealed the bone and enamel beneath. A skeletal hollowness was apparent in her chest, where her dress lay flat against her frame. I fumbled with the register, my fingers suddenly clumsy. "That'll be $2. I managed, my voice strained. She produced a few crumpled bills, old and worn, from a small, dark purse. Her fingers, long and thin, brushed mine as she handed me the money. Her skin felt impossibly cold, like marble. She didn't say goodbye, didn't even look back. She simply walked out, the automatic doors sliding open, and then shut behind her with a sigh. I watched her go, expecting her to get into a car, but she just walked directly into the dark, straight onto the shoulder of the highway, away from any sign of a vehicle. I pressed my face against the glass, trying to follow her with my eyes. The highway was flat and straight for miles. Nothing but desert scrub on either side. There was nowhere for her to go. No hidden car, no house, no turnoff. The night swallowed her whole, quickly and silently. The rest of my shift passed in a blur of nervous energy. Every creak, every distant engine sound made me jump. I kept replaying her image in my mind. The wrinkled skin, the long arm, the shadow that wasn't there, the faint outline of teeth. It didn't make sense. None of it did. When Frank arrived for his shift at 7 a.m., the sun was just beginning to touch the horizon, painting the sky in soft purples and oranges. I I recounted the story, my voice still a little shaky. He listened patiently, his expression unreadable. When I finished, he just nodded slowly. "You're not the first to see her," he said quietly. "Or him. Or it. Whatever it is." He took a long sip of his coffee. "She visits these stations sometimes. Always around the same time. Never buys much, never says much. Just observes. But the shadow, Frank. Her arm. Her face." I pressed. "She just vanished into the desert." "What is she?" Frank sighed, setting his mug down. His gaze drifted to the window, staring out at the brightening highway. "People used to build these stations closer to towns. When they built this one, they had to excavate a lot of land. They found things," he continued, his voice lower. "Old things. Burials, maybe. Or just remnants. The land here was considered sacred by some, a place where the veil between worlds was thin. Some things, they say, lingered." He looked back at me, his eyes solemn. "The legends say the desert never forgets. And when we build over its oldest secrets, sometimes those secrets, they try to remember what they lost. They try to find their way back." He paused. "She's not trying to scare you. She's trying to learn." "Learn what?" I asked, a chill running down my spine despite the morning sun. Frank just shook his head. "They say she was once a traveler, lost in the desert. She starved, and the land took her, twisting her into something else. Now she sees other travelers, and she studies them. She's collecting pieces of what it means to be alive, to be human, to be something with a shadow." I haven't worked that shift since. Every time I drive past that gas station on Route 17, I glance at the long, empty stretch of highway, half expecting to see a gaunt figure with too thin cheeks and no shadow, just standing there, trying to remember how to be human. Or worse, trying to learn enough to become something else entirely.